Exactly. Lisa asked a question about when you were talking about phases, Perry. She said some people get confused on the continuous phase. Can you explain what that is and what the criteria is?
So the continuous phase is that's referring to an emulsion, right? So an emulsion has different phases. So we have the external phase or the continuous phase, and that's typically if you're doing an oil and water emulsion, the continuous phase is the water part. Okay, so that's all connected, all the water. The internal phase or the discontinuous phase are the particles of oils that are all separate. And it's the continuous phase is it's all connected. So, it's like one of those little mazes. You could draw a line and stay in the hole. But if you were doing the discontinuous phase or the internal phase of an emulsion, it's all separate particles, and you could not connect those particles because there's not a connection there. They're separated. So that's really what the difference is there. Now, when I talked in the presentation about phases, I was talking more about the phase of the formula. And so we kept the water phase and oil phase separate, but that's in terms of the formula. And that does, when you're talking about emulsions, that does correspond to continuous phases and external and internal phases. But there are some formulas where, like, when you're creating a gel, you have the water phase and you might have the carbomer phase, and you mix them together late at the end. You keep them separate because you don't want the thing thickening up until the end. So it's the phase thing is a little, the thing I mentioned in the presentation was a little different than the specific emulsion phases.